Hello, my name is Sid Seiler. I'm the Senior Advisor to the Korea Chair here at CSIS. What I thought we'd do today is take a brief examination of the report from the most recent North Korea Party Congress, the section that is, I think, most interesting to policymakers and North Korea watchers, particularly in Washington, D.C. and around the globe, will focus on what did North Korea say about security and diplomacy. I'll briefly go through some of the sections, not read each and every excerpt, but clearly the whole text of the report is worth reading. So the first thing that one is struck with as you read the section on the nuclear weapons program is how resolute North Korea is that the nuclear weapons program is not to be on the table. My sense analytically is that would extend any type of arms control or any type of limitations on North Korea's nuclear program. But for the very least, for the near future, there simply is no more talking about denuclearization. It describes at long length why that is, the threat North Korea faces both within the international environment and on the Korean Peninsula. But for those who haven't been following the bouncing ball, North Korea is pretty committed that denuclearization is not part of the dialogue agenda going forward. Deterrence has been secured. The language within the piece speaks about areas that need improvement, but also is careful to make certain that they have secured a capability for deterring war with its nuclear program. It's important to understand that these are declaratory statements. These are propaganda lines, not necessarily reflective of progress made in the state of the nuclear program and its capabilities, but nevertheless what North Korea wants the world to believe. Finally, of course, North Korea's nuclear program will continue to grow. It is seen as a major accomplishment of the party line over the years, and that there's more work that needs to be done. There's a subtle hint at potential testing, noting that it is a responsible exercise of war deterrent to constantly test the reliability and effectiveness of the components of the nuclear deterrence and demonstrate their might. We're coming up on 9 years now since the last North Korean nuclear test, and there may be a little bit of anxiety that the international community may have forgotten just how powerful their program is because they haven't really signaled that through what you get normally with nuclear testing. Also, the report stated that there needs to be a credible integrated nuclear crisis response system, what they've called that Hek Pangaswe or nuclear trigger, as well as drills on nuclear handling, nuclear operation procedures to bring more credibility to the readiness of its nuclear program. The report gives a hat tip to conventional forces, but not in any elaborate way that would suggest that it has been the high priority that other pieces up until now have hinted at for the regime. The WMD program has developed over the past 30 years with a relatively stable or not developing conventional deterrent that over the past years, particularly in terms of the cooperation with Russia, there's been some sense that North Korea might be improving these capabilities and actually signaling enhancement of conventional forces. It was only mentioned in passing. It did mention, though, however, that the party continues to direct the military to fortify areas along the borderline with the Republic of Korea and reinforce alert and firepower systems to be ready to defend the border. It may be that North Korea is challenging South Korea over the coming years in terms of border claims in the West Sea or along the DMZ, but that's not really made clear either. The laundry list we all were waiting for was included, the areas that North Korea is going to focus on. There's nothing really surprising here. The idea that they're looking for both ground and underwater launched ICBM capabilities, AI unmanned attack systems such as drones and more capable attack UAVs, anti-satellite capabilities to be able to target U.S. and ROK and potentially other countries' satellite capabilities, and in electronic warfare and enhanced reconnaissance satellites. There's hints within the report that there may have been areas from the Eighth Party Congress that weren't fully completed, and that work continues in those, but they did not go so far as to give us insights into the status of those capabilities by telling us what the ones they're focused on will be. They did mention deployment of the 600 millimeter caliber multiple rocket launchers and 240 millimeter caliber MRLs to be able to hold South Korea at risk. A key theme in their section on national security and diplomacy is the ROK as an enemy and developing the capabilities to dominate and hold ROK targets at risk. Language on the United States has picked up a lot of international press coverage already in slamming the door, apparently, on the ROK, President Lee Jae-myung and his repeated efforts to try to reach out to the North. It looks like the statement today was overnight. It was intended to capture the possibility for some type of dialogue with the United States, fully preparing itself for confrontation with the U.S. in the future. Aware that the U.S. Indo-Pacific policy is building alliances, particularly trilateral cooperation that's targeting North Korea, but also not wanting to close the door, wanting to appear to the international community and to the United States as well that should the United States withdraw its hostile policy, should we respect the present position of our state specified in the Constitution? And most people are interpreting that as the United States respecting the North status as a nuclear state. There's no reason why we cannot get on well with the United States. Overall, I think the language has not shifted that much. They have, over the past year of the new Trump administration, sought to portray themselves as open to dialogue, as not closing the door, but also very skeptical that the dialogue would be meaningful. And that allows the North to give the appearance of being open to dialogue while putting the ball in the U.S. court, when indeed, when you look at the overall language, it's North Korea that's hesitant to engage. No good language here for Seoul. They strengthened their hardline declarations that there's two Koreas, that fundamentally South Korea is out to bring down the North Korean system by bringing in capitalism, by bringing in liberal democracy, and by advocating reconciliation and peace and denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. All these things that sound so good from North Korea's perspective are the very reasons why they're refusing to be receptive of the overtures of the Lee Jae-myung administration's team and claim unlikely to move forward. They make the case quite clear that there's nothing for the two sides to talk about, and that South Korea would be better off just making sure it didn't do anything to irritate or antagonize the North in a way that it is prepared to respond to quite robustly. As a nuclear weapon state, if the South is caught doing anything harming the security environment, we can launch any action, the report states. This is echoing language from the past that speaks about North Korea's legitimate use of first nuclear use in deterring or defeating a ROK attack. And so this threat that the nuclear weapon could bring an end to the Republic of Korea is, again, something that we've seen before. It appears here, and we're likely to see it going forward. On the diplomacy side, no specific mention of Russia, no specific mention of China, but an articulation of a confidence that things are turning North Korea's way, that there's like-minded countries out there. There are countries with whom there can be friendship and cooperation, and that as part of their diplomatic strategy going forward, North Korea needs to pay more attention to these and to promote more of these, giving the impression that North Korea is not an isolated rogue state, but out there with other countries, perhaps challenging the imperialist world order, and friends and partners that would be willing to accept North Korea as it is. So overall, and I urge everybody to go back and read through the language itself, bring this back up, go slow motion and read some of the language we've cut and pasted here. It gives a good insight, but there's been no surprises really in terms of what came out of the Ninth Party Congress. And we expect going forward that it'll be a difficult road on the inter-Korea side, and that the United States, may find a way to talk to North Korea, but not in a way that fundamentally changes their hardline position on their current nuclear weapons status, and a degree of confidence that North Korea will survive going forward. And that concludes our discussion today. I look forward to a robust follow-up when we address these issues in the coming weeks and months. Thank you.